The classic tale of Journey to the West has been reimagined countless times. Through films, shows, plays, comics, anime, and games. Most adaptations have included the two main characters, the monk and the Monkey King. For the background, we will be using the Mandarin names as well as the English adaptations of them. The original tale follows a Buddhist monk, Tang Sanzang, also known as Tripitaka, during a journey to obtain sutras. The story blends fantasy with reality. We learn about how heaven and earth can be traveled between by certain chosen beings, and how demons live among humans. Fearsome demons are the main obstacles that Tan Sanzang will face as he journeys to India to collect those sacred texts. 4 beings join the monk as guardians to repent for sins they have committed. Zhuba Jie, commonly known as Pigsy in English adaptations, is a pig demon whose overindulgence in his lecherous and gluttonous ways caused him to lose his status as commander of heaven's naval forces. Sha Wu Jin, usually nicknamed Sandy, was a celestial general that dropped and destroyed a goddess's goblet. His punishment was to become a river ogre, yet despite this, he is often seen as the more reliable character in their traveling group. Though not always included in adaptations, there is another companion, a white dragon horse, who was once a dragon king that was punished for setting his father's pearl ablaze. The most well-known character of the group, though, would be the character of Sun Wukong. Wukong appears as a humanoid monkey and was born from a stone egg atop a mountain. His insolence against heaven prompted the Buddha to entrap Wukong. Wukong is the most powerful of the group due to his strength, cunning, and magical abilities. However, he still is quite impertinent and violent, especially at the beginning of the story. His inclusion in the group is originally tethered to the gold ring that appears as a crown on his head. Tan Sanzang is able to use an incantation connected to the crown, which causes Wukong great pain. Their journey becomes one of redemption for the monk's protectors. Each of the characters comes to see Tan Sanzang within the framework of a disciple-master relationship. The epic tale has inspired generations of storytellers to either adapt closely or loosely new versions of Journey to the West. At the center of most of these adaptations, we find deep explorations of Wukong and Tan Sanzang's tumultuous and complex relationship and how it ultimately reflects themes of need and want found in the story. In this episode of Workshopping Stories Adaptations, we'll be discussing the live-action adaptation Hwayugi, also known as A Korean Odyssey. We'll be covering most of the first 3 episodes' plots, so please note there will be spoilers. Hwayugi is a South Korean drama that released in 2017. The show doesn't waste time in setting up who our protagonist is and how the troubles they encounter as a child profoundly influence her adulthood. We meet a young girl, Jin So-mi, played by Kal So-won, who is teased cruelly by her classmates. Sun-mi is able to see things and creatures that the others can't. She's not fully fearless, but she is courageous. Courageous enough to be able to deal with the fearsome appearance of demons. Enough to deal with a cunning man who describes himself as a fairy. The man asks her to retrieve an item for him in exchange for helping her with a pestering demon. The house he sends her to is mystical and ever-winding. It feels impossible, both on the outside and inside. She succeeds in finding the artifact, a fan, but then another man appears, played by Lee Sung-gi. He's gruff, insulted that Sun-mi didn't bring an offering. Despite her best efforts to ignore the man, as the fairy warned her to do, the mysterious man is clever. The poor girl is then left with another decision to make. The mysterious man indicates she was tricked by the fairy. He says he'll keep her safe, but she realizes that he's also trying to use her. He explains he's bound to the house, the mountain. So, before she makes good on her end of the bargain to help set him free, she sets her terms as he taught her to do. Such quick thinking from a child lets the audience know just how self-reliant Sun-mi has become. But we're reminded she's still just a child, and that she just wants someone to help keep her safe from the monsters. He agrees, offering her his name, Son Ogong. With each candle she extinguishes, his bindings are released. For those who know the original tale of Journey to the West, we know this man is Sun Wukong. For those who do not know the original story, we can still pick up on the fact that there's something off about him. Why was he trapped in the first place? It seems like he has no choice but to help her. However, Ogong is cunning. He makes her forget his name. The promise still stands. Should she remember his name, he'll honor their deal. Yet the poor girl is left alone, struggling to remember the name he stole from her memories. The next sequence finds us years later. We meet a real estate agent who's carrying that same talisman-riddled umbrella. As an adult, Sun-mi, now played by Oh Yeon-seo, has improved her abilities, though it hasn't adjusted how the rest of the living world views her. Even though it's still difficult for Sun-mi to function in the world without judgment, she still cares. She cares for both the people who mistreat her and misunderstand her, as well as the pained, vengeful spirits she encounters. Fate brings Sun-mi to Ogong once more. She acts just as cold to him as he was to her. We're not sure if it's his ego, his immaturity, or perhaps maybe a sliver of sympathy. But Ogong seems troubled by her harsh treatment of him. They go their separate ways after Sun-mi admits that she, indeed, did hope she'd be able to call upon him to help her navigate a terrifying world of monsters, but that she learned how to deal with it all on her own, because for most of her life, she'd already been alone. Then we learn that a Samjang, or the Tansanzang monk from the original Journey to the West, walks among the humans. And of the characters we've met so far, Ogong is the last to learn that it's Sun-mi. And that Sun-mi was cursed with becoming the Samjang because she released Ogong from his prison all of those years ago. There's a difference in need and want in storytelling. Want tends to be more superficial, or is a goal that will only benefit part of a character. Want may be a crutch for a character's need, and sometimes is either enabled by, or the enabler of, the character's flaws or weaknesses. Need runs deeper, and tends to help the character overcome debilitating flaws and weaknesses that keeps them from the best version of themselves. By reconciling their wants and needs, characters usually reach a point where they're able to fully understand who they are and their place in the world. We see similarities in what Sun-mi and Ogong want and need. Ogong wants to regain his status as the great sage, heaven's equal. He's not quite accepted by demons, spirits, or those in heaven. We see hints of tenderness in how he treats those who seem generally good. But it's obvious he's still impulsive and selfish. His wants have supplanted any attempt to change, perhaps into something more than how he's perceived by others, having his persona's standing restored. The only reason he's interested in the Samjang is because there's a legend that if one consumes the Samjang, they will gain immeasurable power. Ogong sees this as an opportunity to elevate himself back to a godlike status, rather than his current repentance completing heaven-sent tasks. However, he finds out it's Sun-mi. You can tell he's torn about learning that she's the Samjang. He notes how knowing who the Samjang is makes his plans seemingly impossible. In a way, we get the appearance of a new need for Ogong, a need to do right by Sun-mi. He buys time by offering to help her live out her bucket list. And you can tell he pities Sun-mi. She's never had anyone there for her. The simplicity of a family meal, going out with friends, a date with a lover. But Sun-mi is also buying time. She's been given a tool by a rival demon, the same fairy we met in the beginning of the show, played by Cha Sung-won, who also seeks heavenly redemption. The Gumgango, a bracelet shaped like the head circlet from the original Journey to the West tale. The bracelet will force Ogong to keep Sun-mi from harm. This is where the show differs from the original tale. The original story is specific. The head circlet will tighten and cause pain should the monk who controls it say a special incantation. It's a means of controlling the wearer, and only the monk has control over it. The bracelet in the drama forces the wearer to have an innate need to protect the wearer. We learn it's because it attaches to a feeling, love, and that this bracelet was designed because the creators thought that physical pain isn't enough to keep someone bound to their duty, that emotional needs trump any sort of physical needs. It's clear in the beginning of the show, Oh-gong is developing feelings for Sun-mi. Oh-gong even goes to rescue Sun-mi under the guise of simply keeping her safe because he wants her power. But this progression is offset when Oh-gong unwittingly puts on the bracelet in order to protect Sun-mi. He is now bound to Sun-mi until she removes the bracelet from him. From this point, Oh-gong grapples with the bracelet's influence to keep Sun-mi safe, and whatever feelings he may have had prior to putting the bracelet on. He easily could have consumed Sun-mi when he first learned about her destiny. Yet we see his shocking guilt when learning why she became the Samjang. That now as the demon world descends upon her, it's all his fault, and he left her to fend for herself for all of those years. Sun-mi is in a similar state. She started to enjoy Oh-gong's appearances, how he would keep her safe, just like she had asked him to do when she was a child. But she's angry because of his betrayal back then. She's also hardened in general by how the world has shaped her into being both a protector and an outsider. So when a strange demon keeps reappearing in her life, both caring for her while simultaneously threatening her, it makes sense that she'd be completely disoriented. The characters are representing complicated themes. Themes of trust, betrayal, loneliness, and redemption. Yet the theme of love is the trickiest to deal with when viewed among the web of themes the show and story offers. In the original story, there is love, a love of follower and leader. The initial resentment and near refusal to change from monkey turns into a deep devotion to his monk. Framing these ideas within the thought of love and romantic companionship creates new difficulties for our protagonists and those around them. Sun-mi has to grapple with the idea of whether or not her loneliness will keep her from ever freeing Oh-gong. Originally it was to keep her safe, not just from others, but from him. She genuinely had no idea if he truly meant that he wanted to consume her or not. So the bracelet was a safeguard. It also, in a way, became a new addendum for him to fulfill his original deal with her. But for someone who has been so deprived of love and companionship, Oh-gong's appearance awakened a want in her. And now, the bracelet enshrouds any truth related to love or affection. Sun-mi has a new dilemma. Will she selfishly keep Oh-gong in her service, not just out of physical safety concerns, but to soothe her emotional pains born from loneliness? Oh-gong also has to face similar obstacles. Before the influence of the bracelet, we saw how he couldn't ever bring himself to cause Sun-mi real harm. When he learned of the emotional pain he caused, he seemed remorseful. He actively took steps to comfort her, even if it was layered under cold words. But now he cannot choose anything other than to be caring and protective, and it creates what seems to be an insurmountable conflict between him and Sun-mi. The story is clever in its setup. We've had nearly 2 full hours to see how Sun-mi and Oh-gong have been before the influence of the bracelet, even before they truly got to be with each other once again. It's similar to a question in the original Journey to the West. How much of external influence can truly change someone? When does someone's needs triumph their wants? Does it come back to how they've come to feel about themselves? Or is it perhaps how they feel about others around them? Perhaps seeing how need and want can fill in the details about a person can lead them to internal and external resolution. Thank you for watching this episode of Workshopping Stories Adaptations. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. What's your favorite adaptation of Journey to the West? Let us know in the comments below. We'll be responding to some comments in a Workshopping Stories Discussing Adaptations video. Thanks again for watching.